I'm not saying, I'm not trying to say that the two's working hand in hand,
But you're wondering if they are, right? You're seeking reassurance.
That's correct. That's correct, Stephen. Yes, indeed.
So what's it look like down there to you?
It's just like a green sludge with blotches of blue mixed through it. Depends when it's a breezy day. It mightn't be as bad, but the winds is all blowing to the western shores of the loch. Seems to accumulate more. The smell would be stronger when the winds is blowing. It just seems to blow all from one side of the loch to the other, so it sort of builds up. Now it mightn't be as bad as some of the footage I've seen myself now around Toonbridge and Randallstown areas, and maybe the likes of Monterey.
What do you mean? What have you seen there?
Well, just put basically pictures online from Facebook or other people sharing it, showing how thick it is in certain places. I heard somebody on your show yesterday morning referring to it was like green paint, which was that thick. I seen an oar going through it, and it seemed to be 8 or 10 inches deep. That the whole waterway had completely closed, that you couldn't basically a boat couldn't pass through.
And when you're working down there, you say it smells as bad as household gas, and you're going home with headaches.
Yes, indeed. There could be a bit of a rotten fish smell there too, but I'm not sure. No.
And Eamon, you've been listening to the programme this morning. Because this is also about confidence. When people are buying our food from elsewhere in the world, or indeed when people are eating food here, it's about confidence. Do you feel confident eating fish caught commercially from Lough Neagh? Because the authorities are saying it's safe to eat.
I've been brought up, my family background would have been fishermen for generations. I myself haven't fished now full time, maybe 20 years, but we were reared on fish from the loch, not so much nowadays whenever I'm not in that industry. I probably still would eat fish, but not now that this has become more known. I probably would be a bit more vigilant. Yeah. There's not as much fishing going on now as a result of all this algae. There's not the same boats fishing on Lough Neagh as there would have been. So as a result, I haven't really had any fish in the last 6-8 months from the loch. And at present, if I was given the opportunity to, I don't think I would, to be fair.
Eamon, thank you. Good morning. Can I actually retract what I just said? When I said authorities are saying the fish in Lough Neagh are safe to eat, I want to retract that, right? Because what actually happened yesterday, if you look at the precise wording from the Food Standards Agency, because we were pushing, is the fish caught in Lough Neagh safe to eat? And actually they replied with, fish from Lough Neagh can be eaten. They didn't say it was safe. Well, of course it can be eaten. They did not say it was safe. And they pushed the responsibility of whether it is or is not safe on the people catching the fish. So I will repeat to the Food Standards Agency this morning, is the fish caught in Lough Neagh commercially safe to eat? Then my next question, how is fish that might be in other parts of Northern Ireland where water will have obviously transferred, flown from Lough Neagh, contaminated water, to other places where there is water and fish? How come the fish miraculously then, if they're caught recreationally, can be eaten? Because the Food Standards Agency are only talking about those places where there's the blue-green algae. Next question, and it's around cattle and it's around livestock. To the Department of Agriculture, and we will be phoning your office now. We've said it publicly. We'll be phoning your office now to get clarity with this. How do you reckon a farmer on a daily basis, or whatever it needs to be, how do you reckon they are going to identify cattle that are ill? How do you reckon, because you're now demanding that they only that they do not allow cattle into the slaughter chain if they've been ill from blue-green algae toxin. So how do farmers identify that toxin in their cattle? Is there a test? Do the farmers have the testing kit? Who processes the test? How often should they be doing that test? And my team will be asking these questions of the department right now. The Ulster Unionist Party's Tom Elliott with us this morning. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Stephen.
Are you a farmer, Tom?
I am indeed, Stephen, yes.
So, as a farmer, when the department are now telling us that farmers need to make sure that animals with illness don't have it because of the blue-green algae toxin, would you know, as an experienced farmer, how to identify that particular toxin?
No, you wouldn't, Stephen, not unless there were a very detailed examination and tests, and those would be mainly carried out, I suppose, through taking samples from the animal. And again, I'm not a vet either, so I don't know entirely how that would work, but it would be pretty complex. It wouldn't just be a matter of coming out and examining and having a quick look at the animal, Stephen, I would imagine.
Well, the Department of Agriculture are saying that all farmers have to now do this.
Well, I'm not sure how they actually do it. Once they would go into the factory, maybe those tests would quantify it then, but they're already in the factory at that stage, so they would have to be taken out, I'm assuming, at that stage, because I haven't heard, Stephen, yet of it being known just by a simple examination that an animal would be sick because of the blue-green algae.
Has the department not consulted with the farming industry about this?
Well, I'm not aware of they haven't consulted certainly with me. I know there's a meeting coming up soon around it, but unless they have given instructions to the veterinary service around it, but it certainly hasn't been relayed to us as individual farmers. No.
So here's what the Department of Agriculture has told the Nolan Show, Tom. Then we'll move on from this. They've said animals that have become ill as a result of blue-green algae toxin should not be sent for slaughter or their products used for human consumption. So that's beef and milk they're talking about. So how on earth does a farmer know whether the illness is because of blue-green algae toxin? Surely they must have liaised with the farming industry about this or helped an understanding of how farmers are going to test for this now if they're putting out that instruction.
Yes, well, that's a very fair point, Stephen. I totally accept that. And unless there is different instructions to the veterinary service, and maybe the Farmers Union have got different instructions, but it certainly, all as I'm saying is it hasn't been relayed to us as individual farmers.
Well, we've been trying to contact the Ulster Farmers Union this morning and we can't get them. We'll continue to try. Tom, tell us what your locus is in this, what you're concerned about.
Yes, Stephen, there are a range of things, and I suppose I heard part of your programme yesterday as well around the commercial fishing, and that gives me some concern in that earlier in the week the instructions were that if you caught fish as anglers, basically individually, then they weren't to be used, but there was no similar instructions around the commercial fishing industry, and that did concern me, and I'm pleased you raised that yesterday because it is a very important public health issue. But my other issue that I raised today is that I know there has been an argument from some political parties that if it was Lough Neagh was taken into public ownership, it would resolve all the ills and there would be one single body looking after it. That doesn't necessarily mean it will. And for example, in Lough Neagh, where we don't have the same blue-green algae issue, but it's in public ownership. But I've been trying for years and years to get a single body to have oversight of Lough Neagh. We can't do that. There are a number of different bodies, and it's almost impossible at times to bring them together and get some sort of regulations dealt with on Lough Neagh. And I've been saying for years there should be areas zoned in Lough Neagh for different sporting and leisure activities, and we can't get that done.
Why?
Well, simply because the agencies don't seem to be able to work together and appoint one overall agency who would say, well, look, we're looking after the overall aspects. If you want to zone an area, say for water skiing or those speedboat activities or for leisure activities, you apply to us and we'll regulate that. but there is no such regulation. I've tried for years and years. I've written to council, I've written to departments, asking us to would come together and do this. And every time you seem to get a blank, there may be some efforts to do it, but it never seems to come off, Stephen. It's very frustrating.
And Tom, finally, if I come back to your first concern, as a farmer, are you concerned about the safety of us eating cattle here? Or are you concerned about the perception, or what is your concern? So that I get this right.
Well, I think first and foremost, Stephen, my concern would be public health safety. And that's a key element in everything we do.
Why are you concerned? Why are you concerned about cattle?
Well, number one, I'm not sure. And then again, a lot of this is unknown, and that's why I suppose there hasn't been the speed that I would have liked to resolve these issues and say, look, blue-green algae can cause this condition or this medical problem. We haven't declared in that what it can cause to humans. Secondly, then, what it can cause to animals. Is it something that can spread through animals and cause them severe illness or sickness? So I think, Stephen, my biggest concern is this unknown. And hopefully they can resolve that pretty quickly, because I'm not aware of any specific guidance or direction from the department on this. So
we are. That's what we're trying to put out into the public domain today, in terms of what the department is expecting farmers to do. Tom, thank you. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today. Chris, you're an angler. Good morning to you, Chris.
Hello, good morning.
Go ahead, Chris. Thanks for talking to us.
Thanks. No, listen, compliment everything that you're doing in terms of raising the awareness of the risks around this. Probably one of the things as an angler, and I work in the sort of angling, recreational angling world, is as you highlighted, Lough Neagh, contaminated water, and the warnings that have been given around recreational fishing. I wanted to just sort of highlight that, as you said, that water from Lough Neagh then drains out from that system down the lower band out to the coast.
Yeah.
And that water itself actually feeds the only trout fish farm on the lower band that is run by the Department of Agriculture, surprisingly enough. That water goes through there, and the fish that are reared there are obviously exposed to that. And those fish are then transported to all the lakes in the public angling estate throughout the whole of Northern Ireland. So everyone just thinks of Lough Neagh, yes. But if you join the dots, the potential for fish that are exposed to the green water is not just only in the Lough Neagh water system, but potentially any angler fishing in a lake that is run by DAERA's public angling estate. Are those fish safe? I would love you to find an expert that could inform me as an angler and the general public, because anglers catch fish. Some anglers eat fish. Are they safe?
I don't know. How would I know? I'm a radio presenter, but I come back to it again. Where are the experts from the Food Standards Agency? Where are the bioscientists who are employed to be advisors to the Food Standards Agency, to the Public Health Authority? Where are these people engaging with the public right now, sitting in radio studios, sitting in television studios, taking questions from people like you?
Absolutely, and we're sitting as Joe Public out here, and we're looking for guidance in terms of informing us so we can make the decision. I love fish, I love fishing, but is it safe? And only, we talk about scientists and people with the scientific this and scientific that. Well, please guide us. Please guide us. Keep asking the questions, Stephen. Keep asking the questions. Someone, somewhere out there has got to know the answers.
Chris, thank you very much. Good morning to you. Sam McBride from the Belfast Telegraph's been doing a lot of journalism around this story. Good morning to you, Sam.
Good morning, Stephen.
Good morning, good morning. So, the Department of Agriculture, we asked them, Sam, we said to them that they will be aware that cattle and other livestock may be still drinking water from Lough Neagh. And the Department of Agriculture have told us that animals that have become ill as a result of blue-green algae toxin should not be sent for slaughter or their products used for human consumption. In other words, the beef or meat or milk that we drink, if they've been ill because of blue-green algae toxin. Has anybody any idea how farmers throughout Northern Ireland are going to test for this?
No, and I think that there is at least some progress here in that éiRe seem to be accepting there is a potential problem here. When I was down at the shores of Lough Neagh and out in Lough Neagh last week, people were saying to me that there are some farmers whose animals are drinking in the water. Now, to be perfectly frank, there is so little water at the edge of many parts of Lough Neagh. I'm not sure what they could be drinking. So there will be areas where actually this is so bad that I don't imagine any animal would actually try to find water through this sludge. But there'll be other areas where it's maybe being flushed around a bit more. It's not quite as thick as congealed.
Because it's a huge lake, obviously.
Oh, it's massive. I mean, it's the size of Malta. It's 7 million swimming pools. It's longer from north to south than the shortest distance between Scotland and Northern Ireland. It's absolutely vast, which a lot of us don't really realise until you go down there. But I think that there is a situation here where a lot of people in government, in politics, in the media, people like me, like you, are starting to waken up to how significant this is. The wider environment that we live in can seem very abstract a lot of the time. It's nice to have, trees and plants and water and all of this stuff, but ultimately we can continue to live our lives if that all gets into deep difficulty. And what we're seeing here is the absolute centrality of just one element of the environment in Northern Ireland, Lough Neagh, not just for wildlife, not just for animals and birds and fish and all of those things, but for us, for the economy. I mean, if you think, and I'm sure that there are people in éiRe who are thinking about this right now, and were thinking about this yesterday when you asked questions about this, if there is any suggestion that cattle from Northern Ireland, that beef from Northern Ireland, that lamb, that any other major agricultural export from Northern Ireland is in any way unsafe or might be unsafe, you can imagine the catastrophic impact that would have economically. And that's why this matters. It's not just about the environment in itself. For people who don't care about that, it's about us. It's about our lives.
So, and let me just balance that. What I've been saying so far, and I've tried to provide balance throughout the programme today, because we need to apply absolute responsibility about this. This is our food, not just that we're eating, but that we're selling around the world, okay? So the department are saying, this is éiRe, they are saying that livestock should not drink from contaminated water sources. They are saying that animals that have become ill because of blue-green algae should not even be sent for slaughter, right? But then on the other hand, they're saying that there are 100% checks in abattoirs by trained and competent official veterinarians to ensure the animals are healthy prior to slaughter. So they're saying there's an absolute 100% check in there. They're saying every carcass with its offals are subjected to post-mortem inspection. They're saying equivalent systematic controls are in place in respect of milk. They're saying éiRe has not received any report of livestock dying from potential blue-green algae consumption. You see, they're not saying that they haven't received any report of livestock being sick because of it. I noticed that. But Sam, if the system is 100% safe in an abattoir, why are they saying that if an animal has been ill, it shouldn't be sent for slaughter? Why?
Well, I think that any farmer who has animals that are ill should not be sending them for slaughter anyway. That's good husbandry. And I guess that if you have checks at various levels of the system where the farmer is the first check, he knows his beasts best, and then there's a second or a third check that might catch it if he's up to no good. That's positive. But one element of this, which is very significant, is I think how wider confidence in public officials, in government, in politicians, in our whole system of government, once it's broken in one place, lots of people will act on a perception, even if this meat is completely safe, and I haven't the slightest reason to be concerned about it not being safe. I'm just saying people will act on that. I was down at the Public Record Office in Belfast about 2 months ago, Stephen, going through all declassified government files, and there was a file from about 22, 23 years ago, I think it was, maybe 25 years ago, during the BSE crisis, where there were people in what is now éiRe, then the Agriculture Department, and they were senior civil servants, and they knew that there was systemic, not one or two, massive cross-border smuggling of animals during BSE. Animals that shouldn't be entering the food chain were entering the food chain. And what did they do? They didn't want the public to know. And I think this is where bad behaviour in government, I'm not suggesting those people are still there. I'm not suggesting that's how éiRe now operates. But in some ways, that shows the importance of civil servants and everybody in this situation doing the right thing every time, because it will have consequences way down the line. Once you break that trust, very hard to get it back.
And Sam, in terms of public trust and confidence and people who just apply logic, how is it logical for the public authorities to be saying, do not eat fish that's been caught recreationally, but fish that has been caught commercially, they are not being equivocal on that. They are not saying, look, it is safe or unsafe. They're kind of dodging answering that question. And yet livestock should not be drinking out of the same contaminated water that the fish being caught commercially are swimming around every second of every day. Where's the logic? Help me with that.
Well, I think there might be some logic, and I'm not saying there is because I'm no expert in this, but there could be some logic in how a bovine animal, for instance, digests water or foodstuffs in comparison to a fish.
Well, why don't they tell us?
Well, yeah, I mean, where there is no logic at all, as far as I can see, is the idea that the same fish caught by one person who isn't going to sell it might be unsafe, or actually is so potentially unsafe that we're being told we shouldn't eat that. But the same fish caught by somebody who might sell it to us is suddenly then safe. I mean, that is completely absurd. I think when we're being told that there's no tests for this, either the fish is safe or it's not safe, however it's caught, whoever it's caught by, and whether there's money involved or not.
Okay, Sam McBride from the Belfast Telegraph, thank you very much indeed.
So that was Stephen Nolan. Well done, Stephen Nolan, on bringing awareness to this serious issue which affects everybody in this country. I heard them talking about éiRe there, the veterinary service for the food standards. I worked as a butcher all my life from I left school, and I worked in a large slaughter in Cookstown, the Cookstown pork factory, and they can slaughter up to 600 pigs per hour. So there's 60 minutes in an hour, so you can do the maths in that, and that's in the slaughter room. And these people are under pressure because of the speed of the line. The vets and all who are doing these checks, they've ready to check for tumours and other things like that. The kidneys and the offal, they have to check all that. And it's a quick check. It's not too much of a check, I can assure you. There is samples taken, but by the time those samples are taken and everything, those pigs and all are already processed and on through, so they can kill upwards of 5,500, 6,000 pigs per day within an 8-hour shift in there. And most of those pigs' water is coming from Lough Neagh. You can be guaranteed of that. You can be guaranteed of that. So, and then you have all the dairy cows, you know, and they touched on it there. You know what I mean? They touched on it there. There's no way of telling. You had farmers on there. There's no way of telling where it's affecting the meat or the milk or any products coming from animals in this country. Should it be deemed that these products are now unsafe to eat? until such time that someone can come out and give us a guarantee that they are safe to eat. Serious questions need answered here, folks. Also, this Sunday, the 16th, 17th, 18th or something of September, at Ballyronan in just down at the Loch Shore, Ballyronan, the marina. There is a wake for the loch, and everybody's expected to dress in black. Bring your sandwiches and your tea along, and your tables and chairs. I think it's on from 2 to 4. It's been advertised on Facebook and things like that. The loch needs our support, people. It's a lifeline for our country. You know, and there's, as you see, there's no public officials. There's no sitting government. There's no sitting government. There's no ministers can be held to account or anything, you know what I mean? So, who's dealing with this? The civil service? People, we need to waken up here very quick. This is on BBC Radio, Foyle and Radio Ulster, live this morning, and I'm sure they'll have more discussions. It starts at 9 a.m. every morning to 10. So it's nice to see that Stephen Nolan's actually covering this story, but I know Stephen has a big house down beside the loch, so you know what I mean, or near enough it, down round, you know. But look, this involves everybody, people. This involves everybody, you know what I mean. This isn't about race, creed or anything like that, or religion. This is about our home, our land, our air and our waterways. And I think it's about time people started taking notice, you know what I mean. Start taking notice. They're polluting our country. They're polluting our waterways, our land, our air and our soil.